Hi guys, this is the video for chapter 7, lesson 6. So in this lesson, we are taking a look at finding the percent of a changed amount. So up until this point, we've been looking at the percentage of a number, which is really just a part out of a whole written as a percentage. Well, percent change shows the change from one amount to another, but in percentage. So to find the percent of change, really what we're going to look at is calculating the difference of how much has been changed over the original amount. So this equation right here is going to be very helpful for us. So let's use this example to take a look at this equation. The example says find the percent of change from 75 yards to 54 yards. So we're going to do first is decide how much has been changed from the original. And the key word here says from 75 yards. So this is the original amount, right? Starting at 75, going down to 54. So we're going to subtract the two. And what we get, we're actually going to subtract the final amount, subtract the original amount. And the reason why is because we can tell that the amount has gone down through this negative sign. And so then we're going to put this over the original measurement, which is 75. So we'll have negative 21 over 75. Divide that, so we can divide this in our calculator, negative 21 divided by 75. You end up getting negative 0.28, which as a percentage is negative 28%. So I want to talk about this here. If you wanted to just subtract the two amounts and do 75 minus 54, you'll still get 21. But the reason we put a negative and we subtracted it the other way around is because we want to see if the amount starting from the original going to the change is going up or going down. And so you can take a look at whether it's going up or down through the problem itself. We can tell going from 75 to 54 goes down. So then we're going to describe our percent of change as negative to show that it's going down. If you had subtracted and you didn't get a negative here, you subtracted the other way around, you would have to still write your answer as a negative to show that's going down. So we can even look through our problems and see, okay, 22 to 16, it's going to be a negative, right? 815 to 925, that's going to be a positive. So even just by looking at the problem itself, you can tell if it's going to be a positive or negative answer. And then we're just going to subtract. So let's do 16 minus 22, just like the book and the instructions tell us what to do. So 16 minus 22 over, so I'm actually gonna take this negative off because we don't want a double negative. So 16 minus 22 over the original amount, which is 22. And so 16 minus 22, I think is 6, right? Negative 6. And then divide that by 22, and you get a repeating decimal. It's negative 0.27 repeating. And so you can round to the nearest tenth like the instructions say. So 0.2727 becomes 27.3%. And we're going to write it as a negative to show that it's going down. And it says state whether the percent change is an increase or decrease. So we're going to write it's a decrease right here. Okay. Number 2, from 8 years to 10 years. Well, it's starting at 8 going to 10. So final amount minus the original amount over the original amount. So it's going to be 2 over 8. And 2 divided by 8 is 0.25. And so this is going to be 25%. And let's just write that as increase. Okay, 25% increase. Number 3, it looks like an increase, right? So we're going to subtract. And we'll do 825 minus, or 925 minus 815, divide by 815. And that's 0.1349. So I'm going to write this as 13.5%, and it's an increase. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pick out a few of these. I think I'm going to have you do 7, 10, 11, and 13. Why don't you guys pause it and do these 4? I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to pause and then work those out and then show you my work in a second. Okay, so looking at our answers, number 7, it's 14.3% increase. Number 10, it is 20.1% decrease, and I put that decimal with my, or I put the negative with my decimal. And then when I wrote it as a percentage, I kept it, I used the decrease word as my descriptions. So I know that 20.1% is going down. Whew, about to sneeze. Okay, 11 is also a decrease. It's 47.5% decrease. And then 13 is 5.1% increase. Okay. Now looking at our word problems. So following this, we when we look at buying things, when we buy and sell things, a lot of times when you go to a store and buy something, that store actually bought those items from another place, from maybe a wholesale place, right? Where they buy in bulk, and then they sell it for a little more so that they can make a profit. And so when the store sells an item for more than what they paid for, that is called a markup. So when the price increases, there's a markup. And then when the, and that's how the store makes a profit. So the amount of increase is called the markup. So I'm reading this up here. The percent of markup is the percent of increase. So those are the same thing. The amount the customer actually pays for an item is the selling price. When a store has a sale, the discount is the amount by which the regular price is reduced. The percent discount is a percent of decrease. So we're going to take a look at a few examples here where we're looking at markups, we're looking at discounts, we're looking at the original price, and that kind of thing. So example 1, find the selling price if a store pays $167 for a set of luggage and the markup is 38%. So let's make sense of what's being said. The store is buying a set of luggage for this much. Then when they sell it, they're going to sell it for 38% more of what it's worth. So what we have to do first is find the amount of the markup first. So we are going to find 38% of 167. So you can find the percent of something by turning it into a decimal and multiplying it. And so when we multiply 0.38 times 167, the amount is 600 or 63.46. $63.46. So that means this is how much they're increasing the price, which means we're going to add this to the original price. We're going to add this to 167, and that is the total that they're going to sell the luggage for. So they make a profit of $63.46 when they sell this piece of luggage. There's a second way of doing this. The second way is by adding the percentage and 100% of the selling price together right at the beginning. So if the customer is going to pay 100% of the store's price plus an extra 38%, we can calculate it as 138% of the selling price. So then you can just do 1.38 times 167 to get the total amount. But when you do it this way, you don't actually see the amount that the amount of the profit the store is making when they sell this. So all we see is the final price of what they sell. So let's do a few examples. First of all, let's find the selling price for these items. So number one, you've got a guitar, it's $500, and we want to find how much it would be, how much the selling price would be when it is a 60% markup. So I'm just going to do it down here. Number one, basically we can either do 1.6, so changing this into a 100 plus 60, so 160%, and then turning that into a decimal, 1.6 times 500 to get the final price. Or you can do 0.6 times 500, find the cost that has been the profit. Basically, you're finding the profit and then adding that to the original price. So 1.5 times 500 is 750, which means if you did 0.6 times 500, you should have gotten 250 as the profit, and then you're going to add that to the 500. Okay, let's do number two down here. MP3 player. So do we even have those anymore? MP3 player, it's $28 and it's a 78% markup. So maybe it only costs like 28 really to like make it and get it shipped to the store, but the store is gonna mark up this player for 78%. So I'm gonna do it as 1.78 times 28 to get the final price, the selling price. And you are buying it when it's at the store, you're buying it for almost $50. Okay, I'm going to show you the way, the first method of working this out. You can do 0.78 times 28, work that out, and it's 21.84. Then you're going to do 21.84 plus 28, and the total cost is 49.84. So see how the cost is the same? These are two different ways. Here's this way of doing it. There's the other way. This, when you do it the first method, from the examples, the first method, it actually shows you the profit. So that's kind of interesting where you get to see the profit. Whereas the other way, when you do it just by combining the 100% and the percentage of markup, you don't get to see the profit unless you subtract the two. So number three, try number three, number four on your own. I will work them out on the side here, and then we'll take a look at another example. Okay, let's check our answers. So for number three, the final cost is $28.32 for the lamp. And then number four, the jeans end up being $46.80. So now we're gonna look at discounts. So when we're looking at discounts, for example, you go to a store and they say, oh, this is 25% off. Really what you're doing is you're finding 25% of the original price and then subtracting that from the original price. So then it's that much cheaper. Okay, so let's take a look at an example first, and then we're going to do this number 5 on the bottom. Example 2 here. Find the sale price of a purebred German Shepherd puppy that is regularly $450 and is on sale for 35% off. So what we're going to do is find the amount that's discounted. We're going to turn our percentage into a decimal and multiply that by the original price. So 0.35 times 450. So this is the discounted price. Now to find the cost that you would pay for this puppy, you would subtract 450 minus the discounted price. And now we know that you're paying $292.50 on sale for this German Shepherd puppy. Now the second method is by finding the percent that you actually have to pay before you work everything out. So if the discount is 35% off, then the amount that you have to pay is 100% of the item minus 35% of that's taken off of it. So really what you're paying is you're paying 65% of the original cost. And so when you subtract it ahead of time, then all you have to do when you multiply is do what you're actually paying, the percentage of what you're actually paying, with multiply that by the cost. So 0.65 times 450, and you get the same answer as what's up here. So let's try it two ways with number 5. A record store is having a 25% off sale. Find the sale price of a CD that regularly cost $14.99. So I can do 0.25 times $14.99 and multiply that out. And the cost is, that's the sale, the amount that's taken off is 3.7475. So this rounds up to 75. So this would be 3.75. And we're going to subtract that from the original amount. So $14.99 minus 3.75. And that's $11.24. So you're paying $11.24 for the CD after it's been on sale and they've taken that amount off. So the other way of doing it is just by figuring out how much you actually have to pay of the original cost first. So we're going to do 100 minus 25, which is 75. So writing this as a decimal, it's 0.75 times $14.99. And the cost is $11.24. So it's the same thing. You'll get the same amount. So it's up to you. If this way, it has a little more work, but it might make more sense. So do what makes sense to your brain. Don't do just what's easiest. Do what actually concretely makes sense for you when you do it. All right, and that's all I have for you guys.